Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today I have a very special guest with us. I have Ryan Anzuoni. How's it going, Ryan?
Hi, how's it going, guys?
It's a cloudy day in Las Vegas today, actually.
Yeah, I'm in Massachusetts. It's cloudy and like probably about to rain soon and like 50 degrees. So
Yeah, well, that's my winter. So Ryan, before we really get started, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of move from there.
yeah, so obviously I already just said I'm Ryan. So I'm from Massachusetts, like kind of around like the Boston area, like East Massachusetts. So obviously like I work at the compound, it was like probably the first question people have is like, why am I sitting in a gym? But right now everything's locked down, so the gym is now even more of a studio. So, but yeah, I work here, and then I also, I run like my own like kind of like gaming brand, and so I do a lot of like that combination of like gaming and fitness is kind of like where I've found myself. So that's kind of like a little bit about me for sure.
Fantastic. And that's a lot to dive into because, I had a fantastic conversation about a month ago, and I really want to get into it because you're pretty cool. But before we do that, I always start every interview with one question I'm going to ask you, just like I ask everybody else. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you, Ryan?
I mean, I'll give myself a 10 like any day, I think. Like, I definitely am like a unique person. Like I'm definitely, I'm in like I just like I do a lot of stuff for sure. Like I'm all over the place. So it's definitely a little bit weird, I think.
Well, anybody who has their hair like that, has to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my barbershop's been closed for a month, and then I was just on that trip we were talking about. So I haven't been at the barbershop in like almost 2 months now. So the bandana is the only thing that's saving my hair right now.
Oh, it's going to be incredible, in 2-3 weeks, however long it takes, when all the women finally come out of lockdown and then we get to see the real hair color.
Yeah, I'm going to have hair as long as them too by the time this is over.
Okay, so this is the Gamerpreneur, so I need to get your gaming cred if I can. When did you first start playing video games? Can you kind of walk us through that?
So like when I first started playing video games, like that, I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I got the original Game Boy Color, like the see-through purple one.
Yeah.
So I got that one, and then I had Pokemon Red. So that was like really like, I just remember I just played that all the time. Like I just played all the Pokemon games like nonstop. And then it was probably like, then I got a PS1. So I started with PlayStation 1, and then I had PlayStation 2, and that's where I'd play like, Grand Theft Auto. I played like a lot of racing games, like Too Fast, Too Furious. And then I got Xbox, I think my sophomore year of high school, and that's when I started playing Call of Duty. And that's like really where like my gaming like really took off. So that's where I started like my own Call of Duty sniping team pretty much back then. So that was with a lot of people know it now, like the original founder of FaZe was like one of my like old gaming friends. So it was like me, him, and then our neighbors. We had like our own team, and that's what we were doing. Like it was Call of Duty sniping. So I'm not like, I don't know how many people are familiar with that too. And so it's like basically like this dude like Zergriz pretty much started that, where he would record his like sniper gameplay, and then he started editing it together and then started posting it on YouTube. And then that's kind of how like the whole like internet media gaming video type stuff like kind of really started launching, was like through that whole like phase blowing up, and then them really like just kind of changing everything. So started with Pokemon, then I went to Call of Duty. Now I kind of play a little bit of everything, but still kind of a Call of Duty guy, like at heart for sure. Like I used to play 8+ hours a day for like years, so it's kind of hard to get away from it.
Oh, that's wonderful. So why are you part of FaZe?
No, I'm not part of FaZe. I stopped gaming probably in like 2013, 2014. I went to college, and I kind of just like walked away from it. But like a lot of them are still like, I'm really close friends with them. So I just went out there before the lockdown. That's like really, I was just in California with them, and I did a marathon with Temper. So like I'm still like, friends with them. We still kind of go out and like we'll do like crazy stuff like that, because originally we made videos of us like skateboarding and biking. So we've always kind of been into like the whole like active extreme sports type thing. So now we're kind of just like getting back to it a little bit in that sense.
Fantastic. Some of my past clients have been in the active sports, and I think we talked about that. So I'm familiar with skateboarding. I don't do it. I
See,
owned a
I'm
skateboard when I was
I'm not
13
much
and
of
I
a
landed on my
skateboarder, but
butt
like
every time.
I'm pretty athletic. So if like you throw me on anything, I'll be able to do a little bit. Like if you put me on a skateboard, I'll be able to at least ride it. Maybe pop an ollie.
All right. So you said you kind of got out of gaming, but you got back into it, right?
Yeah. So it's probably like I've always like gamed. Like I've always still gamed with my friends, but about like I said, 2014, we had like 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. We had like sponsorships. We were monetized, but I literally just like at that time, like gaming wasn't that big a deal. Like it wasn't like it is now, where like back then, like if you had said like if you say it now, like oh like basically 10 years ago, you have 40,000 subscribers, all these views, everything. It's like people are like, damn, you missed out on a huge opportunity. But I mean, I still definitely think I did in a way. But I mean, I walked away like 2014, and then now like it was probably like 2017 when I came back to it. So there was like a solid like 4.5, 5 years where I just like kind of disappeared from like the gaming scene, because like I was pretty known like within that community because I was the leader of one of the teams, and it was like I said at the time it was only so many people doing that. So it's like if you're one of like the top like say like 10 or so like viewed teams,
Mhm.
like everyone kind of know who led each team. So I kind of just like disappeared off the face of the earth, just like from gaming, because most of those kids were like it was all online. So I just kind of left, and then like I said 2017 I came back, and then like I kind of just got pulled back into it by a bunch of different people, like because I was still like so close to a lot of those like pro gamers basically, that it's like I kind of just like started getting back into it, and then I tried basically, instead of like actually playing, now I try to advise like the businesses that I work with, like I try to advise them on how they can get into that esports culture pretty much. So I know a lot about the whole culture of esports, and like I definitely lived through like the gaming 8+ hours every day, making clips, editing, recording, like all that kind of stuff. So I definitely have like I have like a lot of insight on how it all worked and how it started and like how it evolved. So I think that is kind of what brought me back to it, just because I just like loved doing it back then, and then now I just see it as like an opportunity to build more of like a business around it, as opposed to like that first one, which is like kind of luck in a way, I guess you could say.
Fantastic. And I really want to get to the business part. I got one or two more gaming questions for you.
Yeah.
What do you currently play?
So right now I've been playing a lot of Modern Warfare. So that's where like they just dropped season 3, I think like yesterday or the day before. So I've been playing that with my friends, and they just dropped like Warzone, which is their battle royale. So I'll play like some Warzone and COD multiplayer, and then I play like a little bit of Fortnite here and there with like with certain people, like certain friends, and then I'll play Apex. So it's mainly like those 3 games, and then Madden. Like I'll play a little bit of Madden too. Got like sports games.
Okay, so gamer, a good portion of your life. If you had to pick one game, desert island situation, which would it be?
This is the easiest question I've ever been asked. So it's Modern Warfare 2, hands down. Like anyone that knows MW2, they know. Like if anyone's watching this and you guys know about MW2 trick shotting, then you already know. Like I don't have to say anything more than like that game changed the world. Like in my opinion, that game literally changed gaming forever. Like there's other games that are bigger, but that game is what FaZe came from. Like FaZe came out of that game. So it's like at the end of the day, like that game basically changed gaming, however you want to look at it, like at least the culture of it for sure. Like, because you can kind of see how it went from like they were a lot of them were skateboarders and stuff like that, and then they saw like trick shotting. So it's like skateboarding is like tricks, and then they were doing tricks with snipers when they were playing. So you can kind of see how like that carryover like makes sense. And then obviously now like they're into esports and blah 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 all that, but MW2 for sure.
Hey, I love it. I've put in hundreds of hours on that game myself. I understand.
Yeah, I think I just checked that day. I think I have like 60+ days on it.
Wow.
Yeah, 60 days played. That's just crazy.
Okay, so Ryan, let's get to the preneur part of this. Tell me
Yeah.
about the businesses, please.
So pretty much, I'll start with like the compound for now. So the compound is obviously it's a gym, and we have like a lot of like bodybuilders, blah, blah, whatever. And then I also just like me personally, just because it's so like near and dear to me, I've been trying to basically bring like health, wellness, and mindfulness into like the gaming sector, because like a lot of the kids are pretty young, and they're anywhere like a lot of them when they start, they're anywhere from 14 to like 18, which is like a very like vulnerable age where they can easily be influenced like by certain things. So I try to number one just be like helping them with fitness and all that stuff. So now using this gym, we have like obviously me, and then we have like the founder of FaZe, like Tommy. This is his hometown, so when he's home, he works out here. Like FaZe Sensei works out here, so we have like a gaming culture. And then now we're working with other brands on how we can use like those specific influencers that are doing health, wellness, fitness with also within the gaming niche, and kind of all coming together to make content. So that's where this side of the compound brand, like obviously we have our physical location, but then we also have the bigger brand, and we're like basically one of the first gyms to like really like basically like we're just making a statement that esports athletes are still real athletes, like regardless of like how like athletic someone has to be to play a video game. There still is like some athletics and that go into it, and no matter what you're doing, like if you're a gamer, you're an entrepreneur, you're anything, like your body's performance matters in what you do. Like no matter how you want to get around it, like the better you feel, the better you're going to be at whatever you're doing. So I just kind of noticed that whole I just noticed a huge gap there, and I just kept trying to fill it. It's been like years. Like I've been doing this for probably since like 2016, 2017, like trying to like merge gaming and fitness. So it's definitely taking me like 3.5, 4 years just to even convince people that there's a need for it. And then now I've been connecting with other people who are in similar fields that are trying to also do it. But I just think I have like a very unique opportunity with my background in fitness and gaming to really just kind of like just kill it. Like, so I have like a few companies I want to work with content and stuff like that too. And that's kind of all ran through this location. So that's one. And then I also have like my own like gaming team that I'm building,
okay,
which is called Wolfpack. So that's the team I created when I was like 14 and then walked away from. And now I'm like rebranding it. And like I said, back then it was Call of Duty Sniping. So now I'm trying to bring it into the modern age, bringing in new games like, obviously Apex, Rocket League, Valorant now dropping, CSGO, like trying to get into a broader range of the games that are more relevant today, just because that's kind of like, past dated a lot of the things that team was known for. So that's kind of the two things there. So pretty much any combination of fitness and gaming and business development in that field is where I'm at.
Okay, so you just dropped a lot on me. So
yeah, that's why I usually just say, like health and wellness for gamers, what I'm saying, is basically the way to sum it all up. And then also I have like the gaming team that I apply all of these things to myself as well.
Let me ask, what are the biggest challenges you're seeing in getting into this industry? Because you mentioned that you're trying to convince people that health and wellness is so important for gamers. Why is it so hard to do?
I mean, number one, it's just that there's such like a huge gap between the people that are actually like in the gaming and the people that are like, like that are making money off of that whole entire thing. So I just see as like there's kind of a gap between like, like and regular sports, everyone, they have a trainer, they have like, someone that helps them with this and sports psychology and all this. And like, if you go on a flight, they give them X amount of days to rest, or they'll advise them this stuff. Whereas gamers, it's like, they're kind of just like sending them on all this crazy stuff. Like, and I just saw like, I'm like, they're missing out on so much. So like the biggest, like I said, that biggest challenge is trying to get through to those people who don't really see it as like a long-term sustainability. They see it, as like that, like they're kind of lost in that whole like, how big can we take this thing? And they're kind of forgetting about laying like the foundation underneath it. Because otherwise, like, like it's so easy for that all to crumble if the players aren't like playing like in a sustainable rate. If everybody in esports isn't being more mindful of how much time they're spending at their computers and all that stuff. So it's definitely tough, because most of the brands in gaming are all kind of like, what I'm saying, it's Doritos, Mountain Dew. It's not really any brands that I'm even interested in and even trying to get with. So it's like, there's brands out there that I don't even want to be part of. Not like that I have anything against them. It's just I don't use them, so I wouldn't really want to be part of that. So it's kind of like trying to find other brands who are on the edge of getting into esports, or like any fitness related company, like even like Adidas, Puma, they're all getting into it now. That whole like healthy lifestyle type of vibe. So I mean, the vision's definitely coming more and more. I see more companies that are from the health and wellness side getting into it. But like I said, for the most part, it's like, Hot Pockets is sponsoring this event. Like, I just saw, I'm like, why does it have to be like that? I'm like, and I'm one of those people who's like, I see something and I'm like, it doesn't have to be like this. Like, who made this up to be like this? I can change it.
Do you think that's because of that quote gamer stereotype? That lazy, unmotivated basement dweller. Is 35, so
Yep.
mom's basement. Is that what it is? People just don't think gamers as anything beyond that.
Exactly. And I mean, I know a lot of gamers who are in really good shape for the most part too. Like obviously now it's different. Like, years ago, a lot of them were not in any shape because now with like streaming and social media and all of this, like it's so like you can see who they are. Back when we were playing, you just knew their gamer tag and nothing else. You didn't know what they looked like, anything about them. So back then it was like, more acceptable to be that way. Now it's so public that, that it's like, that actually, it hurts your performance to live a lifestyle like that, to drink sugary drinks. Like, there's, I just see so many, like I said, problems in my opinion, like problems that I think I can provide somewhat of a solution for. So it's about bringing awareness is the most thing for right now.
Can you speak more to that? My question was, and you kind of answered it, and you said awareness, but how do we break that stigma? Like, what do brands have to do in order to get to that market, the gaming market, and let them know that what they have is worth it for a gamer? Because I think a lot of gamers themselves believe that stereotype about themselves.
So I think one of the biggest things too is like I said, that stereotype. So it's like we have like another kind of like page that we're kind of like working on a little bit too, which is like a fit gamer university type thing. Mm-hmm. So and the whole like quote on that is breaking the stereotype. So like I said, it's just trying to find ways that like you need to be able to relate to the gamers, because it is like an entire generation of like, it is a whole young generation that's on it. And then obviously there's the older generations that have come up gaming too. But the ones that you're really trying to work towards is that younger age group, because like the older ones, they're kind of like already past that whole like, like I remember when I was younger, it was like all I could think about was getting home from school. Like I literally would count down like the hours until I could go play Call of Duty. Like that's how bad it was with me. So it's just like, I think bringing awareness to that lifestyle, and then also finding ways to work into that, because a gamer has like their schedule is like kind of whatever the hell they want to do. A lot of times, like if you're like good enough, like, a lot of time your schedule is whatever you want to do. Like even as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of freedom with your schedule. And then I find that, that the gamers, they don't really know how to handle that well sometimes. Like they don't really know like, oh, I should work out every day. They don't think like that. So I think just having brands that they work with that, are promoting that, and then them promoting that as well. I think that, it's definitely like, I definitely see the movement, and I see brands starting to kind of get into it. It's just, like I said, it's a matter of bringing that awareness that you don't really have to be like a basement dweller. Like, what I'm saying? Like I'm a gamer, and like, look at me, I'm working at a gym, what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I just think that it's breaking stereotypes, bringing awareness, and like not being afraid to like, step the boundary. Like, whereas someone working in a fitness company, like when I first brought the idea up, like 2017, like no one really thought it was like, that's cool, but they never really thought it would be like anything real. They're like, yeah, like fitness and gaming, I don't see how that's going to go together. And like in my head, I'm like, yo, like, what do you mean? Like, it's very similar to like hip hop, like almost everybody listens to hip hop, like almost everybody games, and like almost everybody should work out. So It's like one of those things that I see, like gaming goes so far bigger than gaming. It's literally the next social media network. So that's how I see it, as like the next big social media network is going to be gaming.
That's right. I'm right.
If it isn't, yeah.
I don't think there is such thing as a typical gamer.
Exactly.
It's a hobby that we just happen to share. So
yeah,
stereotype is so annoying, and that's the point of this show, is to break that myth of the mythological, lazy, unmotivated basement dweller by showcasing guys like you who are building stuff, who are doing something.
Yeah, exactly. And like even when I was younger, and it was kind of like more of a little bit of like basement dwelling, it's still like it still is like you're learning a lot about how to run yourself as a business if you're doing it the right way. Like I had to record gameplay, edit. So it's like, I was recording, editing, doing commentaries, all that kind of stuff that now you hear that and like, oh, that's normal. But like, I'm saying like 20, like you're talking like 2011, and I was like 14 years old. So it's like, I definitely like, and that's because of gaming. Like I wouldn't have been doing that if it wasn't for gaming. So I just kind of see it as like, there's definitely like, I think there's so many skills that apply to it, and so many skills you can learn through being a gamer that they don't even realize like how talented they are a lot of the times. So it's like they keep it as a hobby when some of them could make it into more than a hobby in a way. So I mean, and I definitely see that for sure. Like even if they're not necessarily streamers, gamers, like there's so many like executive roles and management and social media and marketing that they could definitely excel at still.
Oh, right. I mean, soft skills are some of the most important things you can have when it comes to any sort of business. And I love gamers because the amount of persistence they have is just off the charts. You know, when you play Call of Duty I played the solo and co-op with my best friend. You know, the multiplayer is a little different game. But you know, when you're playing on the hardest mode and the juggernauts are coming, they shoot you and you die in one shot. And it takes 6 days to beat that one mission because of it.
Yeah, we don't give up.
You don't give up. And you translate that into your professional life too.
Exactly. That's like same thing with the trick shots and the skateboarding. It's like, you know, skateboarding, it's like you're trying it 100 times. Like the trick shots, like sometimes it'll take you over a week and you play 8 hours a day and it's taking you over a week just to hit one shot for one video. So it's like, you know, there is definitely a lot more that goes into being a gamer, especially nowadays where, you know, there's definitely, like I said, it's kind of like a booming market right now and people are trying to figure out what's sustainable, what's just hot right now. What's the move for, you know, 5-10 years. And that's where I just see like the health and fitness of gamers is like kind of a long play for me in a way. Cause like, it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely, I've witnessed it become more and more aware the past few years to the point where now I think I could even make an impact in that field for sure.
Well, hopefully. Now, you did say that you also do some business development. Can you discuss that a little bit?
Yeah. So that's where, you know, I'll kind of, you know, I'll take the brands that I'm working with, like say, you know, the Compound, Wolfpack, and I'll see what other brands I can kind of work out partnerships with. So I'm always kind of developing relationships, and what I do is I'll bring them, you know, that awareness that they might be lacking when it comes to gaming, fitness, esports. Because it's like, you know, I have an interesting background where it's like, you know, I know gaming like so well and fitness so well that, you know, I consider some of my knowledge to be like almost one of a kind just because of my experiences. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, I just think that, you know, building these networks based around the whole idea of gaming and fitness, it has definitely been something where, you know, like the Whoop partnership or whatever that I've been trying to work with is like, you know, that was like 2-3 months ago I started developing that. And then now, you know, during a shutdown, that's when we can kind of capitalize on those kind of partnerships. So I'm always playing chess. That's what I like to say. Like, you know, business development to me is like, you know, you're always just playing chess, trying to line up the next big moves. And then, you know, sometimes someone just comes and knocks the whole board over like the COVID does. And then, you know, you just gotta start fresh again and just kind of work with what you got. So I definitely think that's my favorite part is the whole, like, basically I just see it as like putting a big puzzle together and just getting the right brands and the right people together, as opposed to like, you know, just people that understand and are on like that same level. It's definitely been like key.
What would you say is the like the biggest piece of advice you would have for someone who's maybe just starting out, struggling a little bit and hoping to get to that next step? Like what would you tell them?
So usually like my number one rule with anything is always like try to obviously self-educate yourself as much as possible. Number 2 is the persistence. Like you don't want to give up, because it is going to take a lot of time. You're going to get the rejections, the no's, like the people telling you, you know, oh, that's cute, like all that kind of stuff. So don't really listen too much to that. Like as long as you really believe in what you're doing, like if you can truly believe in what you're doing, then that's when you can kind of silence some of that noise a little bit. And so those are definitely the 2 of the biggest things. And then the third one is just build your network and bring value to other people as much as you can. So, you know, it's like sometimes I'll think of something that would be good for like this person, or I'll be like, oh, you know, you should talk to this person. And I might not, like, you know, you don't directly get like, you don't get a paycheck for connecting 2 people that you think should be together, but you never know when, like, oh, a year from now, you know, that partnership developed into this, and then they put you with this and this, and it's all like that crazy, like, it's almost like a crazy, like, connecting the dots type thing. So it's definitely, like I said, you know, educating yourself, bringing value, and being persistent. And I think you'll be able to find like kind of whatever path you're trying to go on, just with that, even outside of gaming and entrepreneurship, but just life in general.
Okay. This is going to seem like kind of a simple question, but for a lot of people it isn't. How do you even begin networking?
This is actually a good question, because I think everyone has their own approach to it, which is very interesting too. But like I said, for me, it's the first thing I'm going to do. Like, say I want to connect to somebody And there's some people who it's like, you can just hit them up and they'll get right back to you. There's other people that are harder to get a hold of. So most of the time people are more interested in like, how can I get someone's attention that's like, I don't want to say out of my league, but like someone that's like, they have a lot of value that you think you could get from them and you're trying to get their attention is number one, I say you learn their business almost as good or better than they know it, if you can. Number two is strike like a unique conversation is definitely the biggest thing. Because I know even me, I get messages 24/7 all day long from people. And it's those unique conversations where, someone like they thought about something and then they said it to me, as opposed to someone just hitting me up and being like, oh, I'm doing this. Like, can you help me? And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, saying, whereas me, I just take a little bit of like how can I help this person first approach. And then I build from there is like, I just continuously try to help them and bring them value. And then, at one point I might need to ask them in return for something, or they might have an idea and bring it back to me. So it's definitely number one is you want to make as many connections like as you can, like, but you don't want it to just be, you want it to be meaningful as well. So, like unique conversations, like meaningful relationships, and obviously you have to be of some sort of value. Like, I hate to break it to people, but that's definitely key.
Can I stop you? Because you mentioned, bring value, give value. I've had lots of past guests say you need to bring value, give value. No one actually ever defines what that means. What does it mean to give value?
So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can give value. One of the things that I personally do a lot is like I said, I'll bring in those newer ideas that most people aren't thinking of. And I'll use my ideas as like a way to get in, because if they're interested in what you're saying, and what you're saying is valuable information, basically. So it's not just like, it's easy to say, oh, bring value, like, but like you said, oh, what's value? And that's where it's like, you should research the person, find out what they're about a little bit, oh, okay, they're in this business, what connections do I have in their business that might help them? Or, what ideas would I be able to talk to about with them? Or it's like for me, I'm doing, I have like the fitness, then I have my gaming, and then just within the city, I'm doing a lot with esports too, like at local colleges and trying to get the high school programs. So for me, it's like, okay, I have this, and this. These are all of my like assets, my information assets. And I'm like, okay, what of this would apply to this person in a way that they would understand? So it's like, say I come up to like a hardcore, whatever, like a hardcore fitness person. The first thing I'm going to say to them isn't going to be about, oh, this is my gaming brand. It's going to be like, oh, this is the gym. And we also kind of have like a little esports thing. So it's about knowing, number one, like you said, what is valuable and who is it valuable to is the other key. So it's like, say if I started talking to you about something that you have no idea and don't care about, that's not really any value to you. Like, but if I talk about, gaming, fitness, entrepreneurship, like that's like, there is some value in our conversations when we talk about that. Like, it might even just be a piece of information that you get. I always say it's like you can learn from anyone. Like, you never really know who you're going to learn from either.
That's right.
So it's like people that you think might not be valuable, they might have a lot of value. So judging what is valuable and what isn't valuable information is definitely like one of the keys to the game. And I see it done well and poorly, even like, because like, I'm doing it to people and people are doing it to me. So I have like a good like perception of both sides of it, of that whole thing.
So I guess you would also say that your willingness to actually just communicate with others if they approach you is kind of important too.
Yeah, exactly. Is not shutting down someone just because they don't have whatever credentials you expect somebody to have in a way too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's people I've talked to who they don't really have any social media following, but they're some of the smartest people you'll talk to, and like something they say, you're like, damn, that's just so smart. And then there's other people who it's like, they have a ton of followers and you can't even get a hold of them type people. So it's like, and then it's like, where's that gap of value that you bring? So that's where it's like, you might not be valuable. And so, like, I have to admit to myself sometimes, I'm not valuable enough for this attention right now. Like how I've presented it isn't appropriate to bring like that. I always say it's like, you can kind of just tell like when someone like is interested in what you're talking about, like, because like at the end of the day, it's like, that's really the only way that you're going to connect to somebody is if you guys are talking about something interesting. That's not your everyday, like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Like, here, click this link and go read more about what I'm doing. Like that's just not really the type of guy that I am. So, there's different ways that people present themselves. also. So it's like it's hard to judge. Like it's definitely hard to judge like out there with networking. Like, but I think networking is the best skill you can ever develop. Like
Absolutely. Oh,
besides sales, I guess, but
well,
that's a debate.
they go hand in hand, marketing and sales.
Yeah,
If you're
exactly.
missing one, you don't have the other.
Exactly. Yeah, you need them both. So if you don't have a network to sell to, then you're just kind of screwed. But I guess if you can sell, you can do anything. That's what Mark Cuban says. So,
Right. So what are you doing exactly to make money yourself?
so right now it's pretty much, like I said, business development, the head of esports at the gym. So the gym is like pretty much where my revenue is coming from as of right now. And then with the Wolfpack, that's where I'm working on getting monetized YouTube's, like merch, all that kind of stuff. But I definitely wouldn't consider that like a consistent stream in any means. And anything that, like any type of revenue I create from that, it just stays within the brand anyway. So basically right now it's mainly from the gym is the main thing. And then closing like brand deals through the gym and stuff like that is kind of like the route that we're headed there. So.
Okay. I guess so you've built a giant following before. You're in the process of building one again now. What advice would you have someone who's looking to grow their subscriber base or their follower base? Like what's that secret sauce does it take in order to actually grow?
I mean, the growth's definitely hard, but I'd say like obviously there's a lot of different ways. My way, I like to do it like I like a lot of organic growth, especially in like the beginning of everything. Like there's obviously like a point within a business when you get to advertise, like more advertising. Right now, it's a lot of organic growth. Like so I just try to be really genuine, and then I just try to build the brand right now off the beginning. So it's like everything is branding nowadays in today's society. So it's like if you have a brand that's interesting to somebody, they're gonna follow. And like if your information is interesting, they're gonna follow. Because like at the end of the day, people are only gonna follow you, like for the most part, is if you're entertaining or you're knowledgeable or some combination thereof. So you kind of have to find like what you're good at and then maximize that and find, let the followers find you rather than trying to like have everybody follow you. Like I see a lot of people, they try and get everyone to follow them. And sometimes they get lost in trying to get too many followers and not get the right followers. So I always say like sometimes it's the quality of your audience over the quantity of your audience also. And then and then the other thing about growing a following is that it's like an everyday thing. It's not like you have to put in work on it every day to grow your brands. And I like to stay like true to myself for sure. I don't like to do anything that's like too false either, because then it's like you kind of have to keep up with that. So like I'm pretty open, and I try to like really be myself. And I noticed that I really connect with like my followers that I have. Like I don't have like my followers are split up over a bunch of networks and a bunch of like social platforms and all of that. But I really just try to, like I said, same thing as networking is I'm just doing that online, like making meaningful connections. If someone messages me, maybe like you'll just answer them, you'll talk to them and see how you can help them real quick. And then it's like, okay, you just secured a follower for life right there, like by helping somebody, something like that. So definitely I try to think of it as like, don't even think about like, growing your following. Just think of like taking care of your followers and like seeing what you can do for them. And then from there, you should be able to grow like an engaged like community of people that are like-minded to you.
Okay. So it sounds like you're really talking about is your like company culture, because
exactly. The culture is huge.
Feeds into your audience and then they feed it back to you. So that's like the quality versus quantity aspect. How do you recommend building a culture? Because that's something that like every business is always searching to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, the number one thing with culture is like, you need to really have like a feel for what's going on in your organization and all the people around you and how people are perceiving you, which is key. Which, I mean, obviously you can't make everybody happy. So it's like, even like, right now during this time, it's like, everyone's going through a really tough time. So some people, they're not as receiving to content that they would once be receiving to. So it's about knowing your audience and kind of just trying to, like I said, I never think about getting more followers. I'm always thinking about, how can I engage with the following I already have is what I find that to be like, at least me personally, very like meaningful, whereas it's like, I know I could probably like amass more followers faster if I were to do certain things that I don't, but it's like, I don't really want to go that route. And I don't necessarily see like myself as like the biggest social media influencer. I actually don't really even necessarily really want to be too much of like a social media influencer to the point where it's like, just like consuming and crazy. So for me, like I said, it's more about just being genuine and connecting with people. And the same thing, you never know. It's the same thing. Like you never know who anyone is and who's behind what accounts, like in any way. So it's like, you could be talking to someone that only has 300 followers, but they might be like the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. So I definitely try to say like, don't get lost in the matrix is what I try to tell people, like, if that makes sense. Like try to be above the matrix, looking into it a little more than lost in the matrix. Like, if that makes sense.
Okay. Now this has been absolutely fantastic. And like, I want to genuinely express my appreciation, because you have already given so much value to my audience. It's incredible. And I really hope more people like go back and listen to what you've had to say, because, everything that you're saying is so spot on. And there's so few people out there talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, this is like, at the end of the day, like, this is like my life. Like, that's really what it comes down to. Like, this is like my everyday, like, consuming thoughts every day, all day thing is to like, make this happen. And, I see like myself as building a platform for others to succeed. Like, because, I had done that before and I kind of passed up the opportunity. So now that I know what it feels like to like have that and then lose it, I can kind of, like I said, just see a little bit outside the matrix. And now I can kind of help other people build themselves up in that same way, rather than like me being the one that's necessarily doing the gaming anymore. So I would definitely say like, making that shift just from like, being a gamer to building a platform within the esports world or whatever, like that's been like the biggest jump for me too. It's just kind of like, it's just doing that. And, not many people really talk about sustainability and like, how long a career could last, and, how long businesses are going to last in this. And, I think sometimes, like I said, people kind of get lost up in the matrix. So I'm just trying to take like a more mindful approach to all of it.
Okay. All right. So I'd like to pull back for a second if I can. And you've told us about all the wonderful things you're doing, all the hopes and dreams you've got moving forward, and all the people you've helped, and it's been incredible. But I don't want everybody to think that you're a Superman. So if I can, I'd like to
I'm definitely not. I'll tell you that.
I'd like to ask you, what is something that you have failed at in the past?
I mean, honestly, I've probably failed at almost every single thing I've ever tried in my life. Like, and I think that's what makes me who I am, is like, what I'm saying? Like, I learned how to backflip. So you can only imagine how many times I landed on my face. I've learned how to handstand. I've learned how to do this. I've learned how to like, build businesses. But the same thing, like, it's all the same to me. Like, learning how to handstand is the same as learning how to do anything. I'm going to try it in the beginning. I'm not going to be good at it, and it's going to frustrate me, and I'm going to do it every single day. And then, after a year, I'll be like 5% better at doing it. So it's like, I take every single failure, like, cause I just like even muscle is built upon failure. Like, you're just working yourself to failure and rebuilding. So you just have to continuously keep doing that. Not saying like burn out, work to failure, but you need to get torn down to build up a little bit. So I would say everything you've seen me accomplish, I've failed on the way like 100 times. So like, even like with the gaming thing, I started when I was 14 to 17. I walked away, then I came back. And then since I've been back, I've had like, my own experiences and bringing it back, and, trying to like rekindle some of the old, like, brand and all that stuff. So I would just say, everything that you see me do, I've failed at it 100 times in the past 10 years before like it ever made it anywhere. Like fitness, gaming, business. I'm telling you, I've failed like the most amounts of times at like everything. Like every day I fail at something. And I think that's like why I can continue to like get better. Is because like I just kind of take that, like I take it as like, like a chance to get better. Like I really do. Like when I fail at something, I'm just like, how can I come back and do this better, or what's it going to take for me to break through this? So I think just that mentality is what makes me like kind of a good leader, is that I'm always pushing forward. So other people can see that. And also like the whole culture is like, we keep pushing forward, we keep getting stuff done, like if we had like, everything could fail for a month, and then it's like, one day everything comes back and it's better than before. So it's like, it's like a roller coaster, man. It really is. Like, it's definitely not all the highs that you hear about. It's the lows outnumber the highs, probably.
All about persistence, like you said. And that's a wonderful attitude to have. And you gave us a great quote that you got to get torn down to build back up again. I love it.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that's like I said, I think fitness is like, once I started working out, that's what kind of got me back into like the mindset of like being like really successful again. Like before it was the gaming, that was like my thing, like 8 hours, but now then it was like fitness. So I think that's why I'm a big adamant of fitness, just because I think it teaches you a lot about life. Like, you know what I'm saying? That it's like, you're going to have to do it all the time. You can have it and lose it. Like, it's not like, you know what I'm saying? You're paying rent on being fit. Like you don't own it. So
right.
I think that those things, like, and that's why I see it as such an important part within my like whole business plan is like, I don't preach everyone to be like me and like run marathons and do backflips, but I know, like, if I run a marathon, that like someone sitting at home might, take that step off the couch just to go to the gym for the first time. They're like, oh, if this dude's running a marathon, I can at least go to the gym. So I definitely see like myself pushing to my extremes. Like, it's really not just for me anymore. So that's why I can continue to do it, is because, I'm doing it for everything that I've built and everyone that's like kind of believed in me. So now it's almost like to the point where everything I'm doing isn't just for me anymore. And once you get there, I think that's when you can really like start to like do some damage. Like,
yes, when it's no longer about the money and it's about giving back, that's when the change really happens.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, I really like doing this. I've enjoyed what I've built. Like, I enjoy, seeing other people get involved and just everything that comes out of it. It's really crazy to be able to kind of like give back to gaming and like all like that whole community that, like I said, that's really where I came from originally. Like, I was doing like, video editing, social media marketing, all that, like, and then all those skills are what kind of led me to the next thing in entrepreneurship. So like without that, like without gaming and like the whole YouTube thing, like, I don't know if we're still looking at like the same Ryan nowadays. Like, I've always been like doing something crazy. Like, I used to snowboard and do videos. Like, I used to do, so I've always kind of been doing it, but it's like, let's say, it's like at the end of the day, it's been like almost 10 years from like my first start at being an entrepreneur to where I am now. Like, and like I said, the few years off, like you go up and down. And I mean, now I'm back, and I'm never going back to give it up again. I'll tell you that. Definitely not.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a wonderful interview. Thank you so much for all of your time. How do people find you?
No, this is my first podcast ever, actually.
What's that?
This is the first time I've ever been on a podcast. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Glad to get you into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really different than a normal conversation, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
We had when we first talked, I think our call was scheduled for like 15 minutes, and we went for like an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, I think we started talking about like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and that's that's my favorite book too. That's a little gem for anyone that makes it to the end. That's my book right there.
That's right. I got it on my phone on audio, so anytime I'm in the car, that's all I listen to.
Yeah, and that Outwitting the Devil is good too. I don't know if you read that one yet.
That one's fantastic. That one really.
So I tell everybody to read Think and Grow Rich and Outwitting the Devil at like the same time. Like, read a chapter of one, then a chapter the next, and like go back and forth, just because they're so like similar. Especially right now, because that book was written like right around the time of the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
So like everything that's in Outwitting the Devil is super relevant to what's going on like this very second. Even though it was written like in I think like 1929, but it didn't get released till 2011 because it was so like
right. They held it back.
Yeah, so it's like
that's incredible.
That's why like I found out about that book and I read that like right after I read Think and Grow Rich, and I was like, yo, these books are onto something here.
Okay, so Ryan, how do people get in touch with you? How do they find you?
I mean, you can find me pretty much on every single platform, but my most active is probably my Instagram for like if you want to follow just like my general life. And then I have like from there you can find other ones, but I'm on Twitter. So like I have like Wolfpack on top, and then I have like my personal Twitter, and then I'm pretty much everywhere, but definitely like the Instagram is like the hub of everything. And then Twitter is like more for gaming. Okay. If you want to get more into my gaming side, then Twitter.
What's your handle so we can actually get to you?
So that mine, it's Ryan Anzuoni, but the O is a 0 on Twitter. So it's the same as my Instagram, but I had to change one of the O's to a 0. So tough hit, but so those are the two right there.
Instagram, I'm the real gamerpreneur because the gamerpreneur was taken already. So
yeah, right. I like that name though. That's a good name, the gamerpreneur.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or any questions I didn't ask you think we still need to cover before we wrap this up?
I mean, I think you pretty much covered everything. Like, but I mean, my closing statement is definitely, it's just crazy where your passions can take you, for sure. It's definitely what is like, if I could sum up like everything into one thing, like it's crazy where your passions can take you if you just follow through on what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, Ryan Anzuoni, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Thanks for thinking of me and inviting me on.
No, like as soon as I got on that phone call with you, I knew I wanted you.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely always doing something crazy for sure too. So I'm always up to more stuff all the time.
All right. Okay. Well, on that note, gamerpreneurs, please go back and listen to this one again, because there's just so much value that Ryan gives. I'm going to go back to this one again, because there's some stuff in there. I'm like,
I'm gonna have to do that too. I usually kind of like black out when I talk about this stuff a little bit in a way. Like I'm kind of just like, it just starts coming out. And I'm like, I don't even know what I said. But I'm hoping it was good. Like that's how it be.
Oh, that's all right. I'll send you the replay so you can check it out.
Awesome. Yeah. No, definitely. I'll definitely watch it.
All right. Well, gamerpreneurs, thank you again for staying with us. And I'm going to remind you all, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur. Hey, if you like this podcast, I'd love to invite you to check out a little bit more about me, Dr. Bradford Carlton, gamerpreneur. If you go to my website, www.thegamerpreneur.com/bonus, I'm going to give you a free copy of my book, The Warcraft of Business, where I explain my history in both gaming and business and how I brought the two together in order to create some very successful companies and help a lot of people. And all you got to do is pay for shipping and processing, and I'll send you this book. I absolutely know you're going to love it. All right, you all take it easy.